Welcome back here on FortHSFootball.com. Joshua Wilson here with you as we stock state championship football here as we go along into the second weekend of state championships going to be in Fort Lauderdale with 5 more classifications to decide state champions here. And we're talking to the head coaches here. And this one I really am excited about. Got head coach Travis Roalnd from the Mainland Buccaneers. And Coach, Coach, I appreciate you being able to take a few minutes of your busy schedule because I know y'all getting ready. You're going to be playing Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock at DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. And Coach, with everything here, the thing, because you were a player on the 2003 team, won the Class 5A title under your former head coach John Moranto, and now you're here, almost 20 some years later, you're coaching this team to a state championship game. It's been the first appearance since that time frame that has happened. So, what is it like for you as a man, as the head man here to coach this team, a team that your school that you played for and won that state championship with?
Blessed, blessed beyond measure. In the church, they say favor isn't fair, and I think God has had favor on my life. As the song says, God has smiled on me. I'm appreciative of every blessing that He's given to me and to my family. I think that as a player, it was one of the most amazing experiences of my playing career, high school, college, or the pro experience I had as an arena football player. So beyond thankful for that, I think that again, being able to come back here and become a coach here and become the head coach, I think that's it means a lot because you got here as a player, and then you always want for young men to have more than you or better than you, and so to be able to coach them back to this place in their lives and on this schedule and to be a part of something special is amazing, and I don't take it for granted of the task that God has given me to be able to lead young men, but beyond happy to obviously lead my alma mater, something that I believe blue and gold, to be able to lead us back to be the leader of many, to get back to the promised land.
No, absolutely. And Coach, looking at all of this, I know Mainland has been so close so many times over the years, and I know it's been, the team has ran up against teams out of South Florida, Miami, and all that. But what's your thoughts initially with this whole thing? Now being in the suburban classification, now it's the path kind of was changed a little differently to how y'all got there. I know some people are saying, well, no, this shouldn't have happened, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, these kids are playing for a state title, and that's what the biggest thing is here. It's that chance, that opportunity. So how do you feel about this? Being able to go through, and you played some pretty competitive teams along the way. You took out a #1 seed in Rockledge, and then you took out a top team in the Dunbar in Southwest Florida. So to say that the path wasn't easy, the path was easy, that'd be wrong.
So, I told the college coach this today was that there's only a few things that honestly changed. We were still going to have to go through whether we were Region 1, the Panhandle, or if it were Region 2 like last year where Ocala Vanguard was there. It was still going to be the same. So our path, much of it was not changed. I think the only difference would have been that possibly, depending upon numbers, Jones would have been here in a 4th round or state championship type situation, or Jesuit, because the last few years, Central's been in 5A, and the Northwest has been 5A, and then the rest of the Miami Powers that we've played in the playoffs before have been in 4A, 3A. So for us, man, we just play who's in front of us. We played some really tough competition. Rockledge is a team loaded with Division I talent, have a great coaching staff with Coach Younger and Coach Roland being their coordinators there. Played against the best team in Jensen Beach's school history. And then Dunbar, the same thing, the furthest the school's ever made it. They beat a top-notch program in Naples. France put them out. So, we're not really worried about any of those things. And plenty of people have said yes, and some have said no, for that matter. So we're not really worried about that. We're going to play who's in front of us. We know the opportunity that is in front of us. And right now we're worried about a tough Lake Wales team that's bringing in one of the best they've ever had there before.
No, absolutely. And Coach, let's talk about your guys here, because your guys have been so instrumental, especially the offense. I mean, the numbers that your offense has put out this year in 14 games is lights out. It's stellar. I mean, and of course, that regular season schedule. There's 3 losses that y'all took there in the regular season, and that's a result of that tough schedule.
They all won. All 3 of those teams went to the 3rd round of the playoffs. Bart control the playoffs. We lost to Kissimmee Osceola, who just lost to Lakeland, who very well can win the state championship. and then we lost to Lake Mary, who upset #1 Sanford Seminole. So let you know what kind of football team they were, and they ended up losing a close game to Apopka, who's also playing for a state championship. So again, just like last year, we got one of the toughest schedules in the state. Challenge ourselves here, mainly we believe in that because we know when we get in the playoffs, that's where it's going to matter, that you've seen someone that'll hit you in the face so that you can know how to face adversity once you do get hit in the face. So we're excited about the opportunity that's in front of us.
No, and absolutely. Let's talk about your guys. DeMarcus Creasy, I mean, it lights out here with the numbers that he's got here this year. So everything,
Yep.
and 3,100 yards coming into this state championship game, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, only 10 interceptions, which is actually really the touchdown to INT ratio is really good there in that respect. And you got 1,000 yard plus receivers here, and Ajay Harrell and James Randall. I mean, this is lights out offense here. So I mean, talk about how this offense has come about, because I know that is not an easy feat to have. Especially have two 1,000 yard receivers in a season.
Absolutely not easy. The kids bought in. I think from each position they bought into their coaches. Coach Jeremy Victor does a great job for us on our offensive line, which is led by Malcolm Curry and Christian Hudson, who played some great football for us. We think they're one of the best guard tandems in the state. Obviously, Coach Snapwood, who's our offensive coordinator and coaches our quarterbacks, has done a great job in making sure that we're a 60-40, 50-50 type of football team when it comes to our running pass, even though our rushing yardage has not been what we wanted it to be for a total season. It's come along in the playoffs tremendously well because of the success the passing game has had. And then obviously Terry Anthony, that coaches our wideouts. Coach TA, he was our receiver coach when I was here in school, one of our basketball coaches. He's been here forever and has produced receiver. There's not a receiver that's gone to college. That's when Coach Terrence Anthony hasn't coached. And I think he's done one of his best jobs where he's got a big-time 4-star, 5-star kid in James Randall, and then another kid in Ajay Harrell who's been more under-heralded, but this year has shown that he's worthy of being that 4 or 5-star caliber football player as well, as Ajay scored 29 touchdowns this year, and so him and James have worked great together. James is the take the top off the defense kind of guy. I don't need to catch over 25 or 30 yards. The rest of his damage has been done with yards after the catch. So we're just proud of the whole entire unit. Obviously, DC has done a great job, which that's our quarterback, DeMarcus Creasy, taking care of the football. Honestly, until the playoffs, he's kind of had a couple turnovers there, but some of those guys have made some great plays on it. But we're just proud of the work those guys have put in, and they've been doing this since the spring. Though they made us really worried about our defense in the spring because how they were scoring in bunches. But we're just glad to see they were able to kind of turn it over and make it be a real thing come game time.
No, I mean, you say that, and Creasy is, with the numbers here, averaging 226 yards a game. I mean, that is, a huge amount of yards right there in a game. 226 yards per game, and of course having your guys. Between Harold and Randall, 25 touchdowns. Looking at 25 touchdowns here. Combined. Receiving. That's a lot right there. So at the end of the day, but there's the flip side to it. There's the defense. And the defense side of it, when you start to look at this, and as I start to look at these some of the numbers here on the defensive side of things, Coach, it's you got your leading tackler Ty Richmond, 86 tackles, 28 tackles for loss, and then looking at the number of sacks here, for him, 4 sacks. I know you probably sack totals probably is not as high as you probably would like it, but at the end of the day, your defense has been playing. They have been putting y'all in spots to win games too. So talk about what your defense has been able to do here.
Oh, yeah, Coach Lester Davis, our defensive coordinator, he and I worked together really hard, calling our defense. He started challenging the kids later on in the year about the amount of points and yards we were giving up, and I think that our defensive line was the first guys to answer the challenge. Ramon McCullough, L.J. McCray, Jaquan Mitchell, and Christian Hudson, the 4 starters, they answered the challenge immediately. And because people have not been able to run the ball on us here as of late, like probably over the last 6-7 weeks, it's made our defensive production go up a tremendous amount. Ty has done a great job. He is the quarterback of our defense. He can get everybody lined up from front to middle to back. There's not a position that he does not know. And then obviously we've got Mr. Big Time Xavier Mincy, a 4-star corner sitting out there. So we've been able to do some things really well as a football program, and just on defense. I think the guys just played so much better. You look at our playoffs, up until last week against Dunbar, and honestly, one of those touchdowns was an interception return for a touchdown. So we're still, on track of only giving up 2 touchdowns or less per game. And I think about 17 of those points came off of turnovers where the other team's offense got the ball on the plus side, in the red zone, and we were able to hold them to field goals a couple times too. So the kids have been lights out defense, man. They're playing hard, trusting the system. Like I said, Coach Davis has done a good job getting us in position to play fast and be able to just be successful and aggressive, which we want to allow our kids to play their strengths, and that's their speed and their aggression. But our D-line has done a great job in making teams one-dimensional.
No, absolutely. And taking a look at the rest of this, Coach, the thing is, you got to play Lake Wells. Now that's the biggest challenge. Lake Wells has not played in a state title game since 1994, so it's been a long time for them. I mean, we're talking almost 3 decades here since they played in a state title game. In this case, they're coming in at 14-0. They a lot of people had doubts about them, but they proved that a lot there. So what is it going to take for Mainland to beat a Lake Wales team that has been playing lights out, especially here in the playoffs? I mean, the fact that the way they played against Columbia and just totally ran over them in the state semifinal. Yeah. I mean, that's probably got probably like, hey, okay, how are we going to beat these guys? How are we going to beat the Highlanders?
I think obviously you look at some things on YouTube about them where you can kind of see some sideline stuff. You can tell the team is together. Their coaching staff has them playing for each other. I think that they are believing in themselves. I think they sound a lot like us in the sense of they feel like they've had some doubters, local doubters, and they're trying to prove people wrong. And so, I think when these kids read the message boards, they see Twitter where guys who aren't invested and guys who aren't playing have a lot to say about them and doubt them, and it's pushing them to be great. I think that, when you look at them beat a program like Columbia, the way that they beat them, like you said, they beat them pretty handily, makes you take a step back and say, okay, what are they doing? What's making them so special? But we're gonna play mistakes. We're not gonna be able to turn it over because these guys do a great job of, if they do get interceptions, those DBs do a good job of taking it back to the house because they all do play receiver for the most part. And we're gonna have to limit their big plays. We're gonna have to make them drive the ball down the field and not allow any of those big time X plays because obviously that's what people want in today's game of football. So we just got to, win all 3 facets of the game. I think the kicking game is going to be a tremendous piece. We've got 2 really good specialists in Gavin Greathouse and Jacob Getman, and we've got to make sure that those guys are able to get us points and put the ball in the appropriate spots when it's time to kick off and punt to keep some of their specialist guys that are returning kicks from being able to make game-breaking plays because against, I think it was Zephyr Hill's turn. So we got to make sure we do a good job of balling up.
No, absolutely, Coach. I mean, with that, and being able to keep the Lake Wells, keep them in check because if you don't keep them in check, it might be a long day. But nonetheless, very explosive indeed. But nonetheless, y'all are playing for a state championship Friday afternoon in the Class 3S state championship at DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, hopefully a lot of the city of Daytona Beach will come out and support these Buccaneers because
they're coming.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming in strong force.
There's probably about 4 or 5 fan charter buses. There's another 4 or 5 student activities buses coming. So they're coming. Our principal has done has done a great job making sure that our students will be able to go. We within the criteria that was set for students to be able to come, we have 1,000 that meet that criteria. And I think right now we've got over half of those kids signed up to be able to come to the game. And everywhere you look on social media, you've got people talking about catching their flights and getting their hotel arrangements. So Daytona Beach is definitely coming. The city's put their arms back around this program, and we're beyond excited that we get to go represent them and put on a show for our people because this has been a long time coming for Daytona Beach.
No, absolutely, and of course, it sounds like y'all are probably going to head down the day before. Is that going to happen the day before? Y'all going to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's going to be exciting for y'all to get have that little bonding trip right there to come down for y'all.
Yeah, we're going to get the kids up there. More than likely, go check out St. Thomas and Homestead playing the game, so the kids can get a feel for the stadium and kind of see how things are going to be. Because when we played in the state championship, Coach Moronto took us up that Thursday night. Also, we got to watch Lake Gibson play Ormwood, and we were able to kind of see what the crowd noise would feel like, what the atmosphere would be like. I think we stayed for a half, and it did us a lot of justice to be able to see and get us prepared for what we're going to be seeing in the days following or the next day.
No, absolutely, Coach. I appreciate it, and we'll see you Friday afternoon for the Class 3S State Championship at DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Best of luck to the Buccaneers here in this game.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having us to Daytona. We can't wait. We're excited. Come ready to rock. Wear your blue and gold. And as always, remember, his Buck pride never dies, and his family. Forget about me. I love you.
No, absolutely. Appreciate it, Coach, so much. That was head coach Travis Roalnd from the Mainland Buccaneers joining us here to talk state championship football game coming up here, Class 3 State Championship on Friday afternoon, 1 o'clock kickoff at DRV PNK Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Stay tuned for more videos here on FortHSFootball.com, and we appreciate everybody watching these interviews with the coaches as we do this, getting ready for Fort Lauderdale. Thank you so much.